Hey everyone, it's Savannah here. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about
You're not going to introduce your brother?
Sorry!
I'm Jake.
Today we're going to talk about the acquisition of the new vacation rental property I just bought.
And I helped her with.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the, how we sourced the deal, some of the challenges during escrow, and then kind of the team aspect and how you know when you're ready to take a deal like this on. So when it comes to the sourcing side, this is an on-market MLS deal, and it was originally listed at $1.6 million. At the time that we identified the property, it was actually pending, and so this was just something that we identified and said, hey, let's keep an eye on this and see if anything happens. We reached out to the broker and just let them know that we were interested, and lo and behold, a couple weeks later,
fell out of contract.
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, just to give you a little bit more context, it is a 15-unit motel in Packwood, Washington. So the list price was 1.6, and then after it fell out of contract, it was listed at 1.4. So we went in with offer of 1.25. We got it under contract at that 1.25.
Yep, and throughout the sourcing, throughout talking to the listing agent, we're trying to identify, what's the seller's primary motivation? Is there any other factors to consider other than just price and minimal contingencies? And one thing that we identified as we were going through the process is that the seller was attempting to complete a 1031 exchange. So
big news.
Yeah, so that's important. I mean, to know what the seller's going through, to figure out what they're focusing on or what goals they're trying to achieve. Sometimes we can identify that and either exploit it for our own personal gain.
That's sometimes the info that you need.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to know what kind of leverage you have. And knowing that they're trying to buy based off of the sale of this property gave us a little more leverage, knowing that they were really incentivized to make the transaction happen. So,
can you explain really quick why someone would be incentivized if they're going through a 1031 exchange? Like what exactly a 1031 exchange is?
Yes, so if someone's trying to sell a property and defer the taxes that they would be incurring on such a sale, you can opt into a 1031 exchange, which requires a third-party intermediary to help facilitate the acquisition of a like property. So someone could go buy another commercial property, take the funds from the sale of this property, roll it into that other property, and basically defer all the taxes until maybe they sell that future property down the road. So it allows someone to get into a new property after selling and avoiding the taxes, at least temporarily. But there's strict timelines associated with that. So you only have 45 days to identify the property that you're going to buy after selling, and you have 180 days to close on that property. So if you identify the property and things fall through, then you're kind of stuck paying the capital gains. So
knowing you really wanted to sell.
Yeah, knowing that, it gave us a little more leverage. Even though they said, hey, we're not going to do anything at inspection, take it or leave it. What someone says doesn't always reflect how they're going to actually react and respond. So
yeah, and that's actually how we got a really major benefit in this sale. Was we weren't seeing eye to eye when the contingency phase was about to end, and it came out there recently that they were trying to do a 1031 exchange, so we kind of felt comfortable asking for the concession even though they were kind of saying no. So towards the end of the contingency phase, we were holding our ground, and then they did end up giving us a $200,000 seller carryback on the property, so that basically took care of the down payment there.
So we also reduced the purchase price by another $25,000. So ended up closing at 1.225, and really what necessitated the seller carryback was a change in the financing structure as we're going into the deal, right? So things can change when you're in escrow. So you need to make sure that you're keeping all your options available. When we initially talked, and Savannah initially talked to her hard money lender, they indicated they could do something, and then that kind of changed. Initially, the sellers were saying, nope, there's no way we're going to do a seller carryback. That's not an option. We asked 2 or 3 times, and they just said, don't ask. But as push comes to shove and you get closer to trying to tie up the deal, and there was just that one small piece that was missing. You needed to feel comfortable with the rehab was more significant after kind of doing the full inspection than we anticipated. So we needed a little more cash on hand to feel comfortable with moving forward in the project. So
yeah, once everyone's kind of bought into we want to make this sale happen, we're under contract. It's been a month now that we've been under contract. People are more willing to work with you.
And they got to know us better too. They
Yeah.
understood what you've done up to this point. You know, we pitched that Savannah she's not brand new to the short-term rental space, and she's got a variety of contractors that she's worked with and has relationships with. So we felt like after they understood the position we were in, that it made sense to them to offer it. So
yeah. And that's kind of another thing too. This wouldn't ever be like something that anyone should tackle on their first acquisition. This is something that once you've built up a strong base in your rental property investments, that you can kind of afford to take a risk like this. It will be bleeding for the first 4 or 5 months, and my other properties
minimum,
can bolster
right?
that. Yeah.
Like the reality is it's cash flow negative on day one deal.
Yeah. So that's not something that you'd ever want to take on initially, and just having the contractor relationships built up and all of the contacts that you have to try to like pull a team together to make something like this happen, as well as the other properties that are kind of bolstering this for you, is something that that you wouldn't want to take on initially, but you could if you afford yourself that kind of leeway later on in like your investing career.
So the major upside on this deal is that right now it's being operated as a long-term rental. So Savannah technically on fundamentals paid more than what it was technically worth based off of current income. But we're looking at future opportunity, right? So as Savannah takes the next 6 to 12 months to rehab the property, turn it over, convert these long-term units into short-term units, it's going to completely change the dynamic of the deal and put her in a position where the cash flow is going to be even underwritten conservatively, very significant. It's the kind of cash flow that you could retire your family off of. But those kinds of deals you can't just go pick up without having experience and the skill set and the resources to get through that 6 to 12 month period where it's going to be challenging.
Yeah, and if you want to hear more about the specific numbers and how we underwrote the deal, then definitely tune in for a future video where I'll be outlining all of that.
Yeah, so check out Savannah's YouTube channel.
You're already here.
We're going to
Keep
be,
saying it.
subscribe. We're going to be going through the deal. There's going to be a lot of content on site showing the renovation process, showing the challenges. Anyways, stay tuned. Appreciate you guys.
Bye.